Hello everyone and welcome back to Adventures of WellUmMe, and today we're going to be continuing Gamer Day discussions talking about Extinction on the PlayStation 4. I briefly mentioned this in an episode the other day, and now we're going to be continuing talking about it. Extinction was an interesting game. It got a lot of hype leading up to its release, and then after it was released, unfortunately, it kind of just didn't do much for people. It was, well, essentially, it's like Attack on Titan. There are these giant, like, goblin ogre-esque type things that are going to be invading, and you had to climb up and dismantle their armor and then kill them with, like, a shot to the back of the neck. And unfortunately that, as awesome as it sounds, didn't really work in context for this game. It was very glitchy in my experiences. I mentioned that before. It was a game that I sat down, I got ridiculously cheap, and I was excited to play it. It looked pretty decent. I'd heard a lot of stuff in the hype leading up to it, and hadn't checked out reviews for the game when it came out. So I picked it up, and yeah, it wasn't that great. I was thinking I might even try and go for a platinum trophy at one point until I played it a little bit more, and then kind of deeply regretted the decision to ever think that, because it was not good. So, in fairness, it did look good. Like, the game itself, it looked good. I loved the aesthetic design of it. I thought that this game really did position itself as a great world to build around. Kind of like this somewhat medieval, somewhat, I guess, almost Middle Eastern during that medieval time. Like, it was a mix. I guess, like, nomadic medieval times. That's kind of the vibe I got from it, that it was this, nomadic medieval styled village that you were protecting, and all the people in it as well. And you were this really cool character that was part of, like, essentially like the guard, the royal guard, town's guard, I don't know what exactly you would call it, but you went in to fight off these monsters and try and help the last lot of humanity survive, and it just sounded so good. Unfortunately, the game crashed on me multiple times while trying to play it. The loading times weren't that great, the objectives were quite difficult. I found actually just getting the game to target, like, the way it needs to target so that you can go up against the monsters in a certain fashion, I found that difficult. It wasn't executed well. I think that's the problem. Like, it really did have this great content there, and it wasn't executed well. I think the controls from memory were quite difficult to for me to get my head around, at least trying to get it to work, because you kind of had to sling yourself around in places, and when that's not working fluidly, you kind of just ended up in this awkward position where you're trying to execute, this really cool move, and you just end up getting frustrated because you miss, or things don't hit. And at some point it came up with, like, regenerating limbs or regenerating armor and things like that, or you had to break certain armor in certain points, or there was a time limit that you had to defeat everything within, and that's where I really struggled trying to match off against the restrictions that were there. That did make it hard, and that's where, like, great for a challenge, but I did the first couple of levels, and I did really well. I got really good rankings on them, because there's a ranking base to the game. And then it came to progressing through like the middle sort of levels, and I just really struggled to beat them. I guess that's where it was. So that put me off it. And then I tried doing some of like these trials based missions, and yeah, I couldn't get them to work. I just could not get it to load. So that was a problem that we faced there as well. Hopefully, if Modus is still around, they'll be able to produce some better games than this. Unfortunately, this was not the game that I expected it would be from what I saw. Well, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. It definitely helps me out, and consider subscribing to see more content coming your way. Sorry about what the camera is doing at the moment with autofocus. I'm not 100% sure what's going on, because it's supposed to be tracking my face. I've got like the face tracking thing on the screen, but it kind of just doesn't focus for some reason. So might have to do a bit of a software reset thing on it. See if I can get that working properly. Until then, though, please just endure that a little bit longer. I'll switch between the manual focus and the automatic focus and try and get it to work the best that I can possibly get it to work. I mentioned I might be taking a break from making these videos for a couple days just to get my head around things. I'll see how I go. I'm going to do it one video at a time until I run out of time one day and just don't happen to upload. But while I've still got the time each day to do it, you'll see these videos coming out. So, yeah, and while everything's going on with a certain thing in the world, I won't say what it is because I don't know what regulations are on YouTube about mentioning names of certain things. But while there's this certain thing going on in the world and people are staying indoors, please stay safe, take it seriously. If you self-isolate for safety, it just means that the spread's going to stop as quickly. And I think that's all we can really do if we just take these warnings seriously and make sure we're doing our best to stay hygienic, stay safe, look after your neighbours. If they need something, help them out. If you need something, don't be afraid to ask. I'm sure that's something that, you know, common sense and the general goodness of people would help out with. Yeah. It's scary for some people, but I'm going to stay positive. As long as you're doing the right thing, we're going to help stop the spread, and we'll conquer this as soon as we can. But yeah. I'll catch you next time.